Kichwa, everyone.
Kichwa.
Oh, wow. Everyone, let's set the record straight. October 11th, 2020, Conversations with America. For all those who are here, welcome family, welcome kinfolk. Another month has come and, things are getting kind of deep out here. Life is changing around us. Emotion is taking hold. So we're glad that each and every one of you have been able to make it. We hope that if you're listening, that what we share with this podcast and our discussions help each and every one of our brothers and sisters out there able to get a little bit more insight and be a part of the solution and are able to create new windows of viability for us to stand and live and thrive in the future. And the topic of discussion for this month is going to be complicity. Okay. Because what I have found and many others have found is that, collectively we've gotten a lot of our people are complicit, and we've gotten to get along with everybody, we have to be complicit in all forms of destruction, all forms of genocide. And maybe, life is saying this is not the time to be complicit, and that we need to look at our complicity and what is complicity and how do we become complicit, and what are the benefits and the consequences that we do to each other, to ourselves, in our complicity in everything. How are we of just as much as the problem as what we're claiming is the problem is against us? And so, as a part of rebuilding our lives with emotion, we're going to deal with complicity, because I am very clear as a person who is very, very conscious. I don't like to use the word conscious, who's very aware of complicity, and a person who do not step into it. I have seen the wonderful benefits that not being complicit bring, and not being a part of it, not saying no, I will not be complicit in the destruction of life. I will not be complicit in taking that action against being a part of it. Has brought me out. I'm listening to a lot of people out here, and they're struggling, and everybody's running, and everybody's hiding, and being miserable, and blah, blah, blah. But as I listen to them, I also hear a lot of complicity. Can you really be angry for the fact that people don't want to support you? Can we really be angry because we're living in poverty, because we're not willing to get up and do anything? Is it everybody else's responsibility to want more for us than we got to want for ourselves to do? Do we have the excuses? I hear people say, well, I don't know how to do that. Well, why can't you look on the web and figure it out? Even myself, every day I'm being forced to get out of some sense of complicity. If I don't like the way I live, change it. And in putting that forth, it has changed. I'm learning that, you got to do this, or you may have to let go of that. But as we move out of that makes me less complicit. And so as we shed all of this, is that not freeing?
Mm.
So when we talk about we want to be free, we want to not be complicit. If we say we're indigenous, then what are you complicit in? And if you say that you are an indigenous person and you're not willing to live indigenously, are you complicit, and are you okay with the consequences that come from supporting self-destruction and collective destruction? So that's what we're going to talk about today. What are the consequences of being complicit? What is the solution? How can we stay from being complicit into other people's darkness? And you're going to be surprised what the solution is. And it's very simple. You don't have to pick up a gun. You ain't got to pick up nothing. You don't have to pick up nothing. You just got to say no. Give them boom and walk on. Let people who want to be in their complicity, let them stay in their complicity. But don't put your complicity on me. Don't make me complicit in your lie. And in many ways, that's what's happening in the United States today. People are like, why are there so many non-people of color in Black Lives Matter? Because they don't want to be complicit. They don't want to be complicit in the murdering of you. Now, if they're not complicit in the murdering of you, that doesn't mean they have to sit there and support you in your complicity of irresponsibility. They're not taking responsibility for your death. But that also means they're not responsible for keeping you alive either. We don't run around here and try to keep the deer alive and the squirrels alive and the insects alive. So why would everybody got to be complicit in the fact that you don't want to take responsibility in making the changes to keep yourself with the ability to thrive? Complicity. So we're going to start off the show with what's in the news, because I really think it's just phenomenal, actually. And I'd love to get just some feedback from other people that I always speak to all the time. Is how many of y'all think Trump is losing it?
Personally, one way that I try not to be complicit, I don't know if this is the best way, but I don't keep up with it. I'm hearing it from my friends. I just can't watch it. The debates, all of that, I guess, but I don't even think it's him. I think it's a whole system, but I'm just willing to hear, what shenanigans.
Anybody else? Well, he says he don't listen to it. How many of y'all? Come on now. Now, don't tell me nobody's been sitting here paying attention to what's getting ready to go on in the United States. Because the United States is on the
He's not losing. He's not losing.
Okay, someone else said he's not losing. How many of y'all are thinking that Biden is playing right into him? How many people think that the United States is on the verge of a civil war?
Well, that would be interesting.
I do.
Has anybody ever studied how Hitler came up into power?
I just recently learned that he learned a lot from us, and that that's just, the more I learn, the more it's just overwhelming sometimes.
From us, I'm quite sure everybody on the planet watches our stupidity and learn from us. So that has nothing to do with what. But has anybody paid attention to what's happening here? Actually, every one of us should be paying attention to it, because this could be our opportunity to get underneath this news, from underneath this news.
Mm-hmm.
Get out of our complicity.
Yes.
And most of us don't think of it that way. We still looking at the United States government as if we, what's your position in it? As stakeholders,
Mm-hmm.
what do y'all think about what Trump's doing? Come on, give me some feedback. If you haven't thought about it, you need to take a minute to think now.
If I can speak again, without having watched a whole lot of going on, but I'm very interested to hear what you have to say. My thought about him is that he's just playing both sides. It's all about confusing people. 1 minute it seems, from what I know, it seems that 1 minute he's saying something like, "Oh wow, he's so woke," and then the next minute he says something that's just the opposite. So I feel like the corporation has crafted a very genius. I call it like a double agent. He's just playing to the people. Like this whole QAnon thing. It's like I challenged someone in a YouTube meeting because he was, he's looking at this QAnon and trying to tell me, well, don't you know what he's going to do and how he's going to do it? And I asked him, how do you know that's him? It's like, please, people, please. I don't see why he would do anything. For the people that are so pro-Trump, I just don't see like how he's going to, how will he come up against the corporation that hired him? That's what I want to know. That's what I would.
So you want to know, how's he going to come up against the corporation that's hired?
Him or Biden? They're both hired by the same corporation. So how?
Okay.
I tend to think that
valid question. I think that's a valid question. Anybody got any answers? Anybody else got any more comments? Any got an answer for that? Has anybody paid attention to what goes on? What happened with Hitler? Has anybody thought about? Has it hit to anybody that there's something real interesting about what you've been watching for the last 3 years? This white supremacy.
Yeah.
Have anybody noticed that white supremacy is patriarchy? Does anybody know?
Well, it's
all about white men in general. Who is his people?
Right.
Has anybody paid attention? There are more and more people of color, black, our men. I don't like calling y'all black because you're more than a black. And today, black can be Nigerian. I was listening to NPR the other day, and they were talking about the black situation. They were talking to a Nigerian. I said, when did Nigerians become black? I guess if Kamala Harris is black, anybody can be black. Shit, they can be talking to squirrels. Okay, and it's more and more, the word black has went away from the Negro people, the Amerindian people, the people of America, and has been transferred to immigrants, Jamaicans, Haitians.
There's a new book.
Black. Well, if they're black, what are you? How many of anybody else noticed it? Okay, we and the only reason why I'm saying this to people, because a lot of people come up to me and tell me how much they ain't been paying attention, and I'm saying to myself, really? You're not paying attention, but all of this stuff affects you. Is not paying attention a form of complicity? Like for people who filled out the census, and on the census it said a black, and then under it said African Americans, and then right underneath that it stated Jamaicans, Haitians, Nigerians, Somalians. So one of my son came up to me and he said, "Ma, there's no place. I'm not none of this." I said, "No, because you're not supposed to sign that." So he said, "No, I went to Native American." I said, "Boy, wasn't it interesting that there was no place on the census for our people?"
Yep.
How many of y'all even noticed that? That you wasn't included?
Right.
How many of us went and signed and know of everybody who put African American, even though it had nothing to do with them, and didn't care?
I didn't.
I know, that's what made me do the show today, was how many people were complicit. They knew better, but they didn't do better. They didn't care about the future. I said, but if you put that down, that's going to stop everybody who's related to you. You have just put a mark against them. And the answers I got. How many of you have been told that we're now came to United States 1619? Especially sisters. Nobody told you that. No, your ancestors didn't tell you that. Your grandmama, if your grandma was 50, how the hell did she come from 1819 or 1619 or whatever the number is?
I just read an article that says that black people, a lot of black people are trying to figure out like how to leave America. And I'm like, why? Because we are the original people of America.
Say that again. You came in and out. I need you to say it again a little bit closer to the phone and clearer so we can get you good on the tape.
Yes, I just read an article that was stating how a lot of black people are trying to figure out ways to leave America. And I was like, why? Because we are the original people of America. So we shouldn't have to leave and try to go nowhere.
Well, I will say on that, I agree with you. You shouldn't have to, but I think on previous shows we brought it up, the exodus of people, of our people leaving the United States. Now, leaving America is different than leaving United States. And and we tried to get into that last month as though it never happened. We were talking about, when did America become the United States? Because you can leave United States and not leave America. Legally. I mean, you can do it. United States is nothing but a nation state. You can go to Mexico, Guatemala, Costa Rica. You can go to Belize. You can go to Nicaragua, Panama. Shoot, there's about 15 states that you can go to in other areas and have never left the continent of America. Okay, and I'm not going to tell people that they have to stay here. I'm not going to tell you that. Because if you don't have no soil here, you might not be able to stay here. If you're not connected and living indigenously and living under the indigenous umbrella, and that's more than just a word. That is the way you live. That's an independent way of living that's being free. And that means that you live with the soil. You're about building life. You're about being a part of the natural system and serving your responsibility to that. And living that way is totally different than the way you've been taught. We don't live in supermarkets, we live building life. I'm sitting here now harvesting and saving seeds, natural seeds, so I can plant real apple trees. Because we're going to need a way to eat. We're going to need to, as long as I'm saving what grows in nature and giving it a place to grow, life is going to protect me with nature. I'm a guardian. I'm indigenous. That's part of my blood, and I have that power within me to do that. But just using the word and saying you indigenous don't mean nothing. I run into people talking about they indigenous and they in some kind of tribe, and when you look at what they doing, they not doing nothing. They don't know nothing. and they not willing to learn nothing. You know, they not. I mean, do not. You know, all they looking for is another way to hustle.
Mhm.
And that's what indigenousness is to them. You know, they talking about the law. They don't, you know, we got this under the law. Well, actually, you don't. Because in order for that law to apply to you, there has to be certain criteria met. They don't meet it. They're not even trying to meet it. Anything means that they got to learn and take the time to put forth effort to build something new. They MIA. But they want to boast. Isn't that in, with that lie a form of complicity? Complicity. They in the
Mhm.
complicity, all right. They
Mhm.
complicitly doing something to cause harm. So I agree with you, sister. You know, yeah, there's a whole lot of them trying to get out. I also know this much, that a whole lot of countries don't want to let you in if you coming from the wrong mental condition. Did they write about that too?
No, I didn't see that one.
Yeah, a whole lot of them. Belize, Mexico, all of them. They don't want to let you in. I mean, they don't mind you coming to visit, but you can't come there and squat on them. But a month or two. They already passing laws. So if you're going to come in there and get involved, you best to come in there and come from a different headset. And many of our people, they not ready to do that. They want to come and live the way they live it in the States, he in another place. And they're not going to be permitted. The states are not letting them. The nation states that they're moving to is not necessarily open for bringing a whole bunch of poverty. Whole bunch of people who don't know how to do nothing, not interested in taking responsibility. That means learn the ability to respond. How to do. How do you build your house? How do you know? What do you know how to do? Because if you can leave United States, you're going to have to do it. You know, and they're going to charge you. So you better have some way to make some finances in the States. Because you're not going to come there and squat on those people. Them people make their money off of you. And I'm not saying moving out to state is not out of the United States is a bad thing. But it comes with a responsibility. You got to think a little differently. As many of you know, I live here as well as in Belize. I've been outside of the States almost for 10 years. Okay. And I go there to learn as well as to do. And I can count on my fingers how many people want to come. You know, and a whole lot of people want to come and they want to squat. You know, and we say, well, come and help us build. Come and make an investment to build something so that you can have a place to live. And we get zero response. We're all looking for somebody to build something for us that we don't have to invest in. And the countries are not going to let you do it. So how many people on your article said that they're moving out of the United States?
It just said like 100,000 of black people are trying to leave America, but it didn't really like break down the number. But I thought that was really interesting. But now that I'm hearing you say that, it definitely makes sense. Like if you're gonna move, you can't go to no other country and just think you're gonna still have the same mindset, and they gonna be okay with that.
Nope, they're not. I'm telling you, I've watched many of them come, and I've watched many of them what? Go.
Oh.
I'm telling you. I'm sitting in Belize. I've watched a good 60 people, 70 people or more. And they all looking for somebody to take care of them. And very seldom do they come with the mindset that they are going to have to, and they have a dream, but they don't understand what responsibilities that comes with that dream, and that they're going to have to be willing. I know people who, they talk a good game and all that stuff, but when it comes time to, okay, you got to work, you got to do it a certain way, they don't want to do it. They don't want to come, well, where's my mortgage? No, you don't understand. There is no mortgage. You gotta, so you may have to stay in the States for a little while and have your focus. You may need to go and connect with somebody else with who's in the States, from the States, who has some earth. And you may need to go into a trust with them. You need to help them. But most of the people don't want to do that. They don't want to help. I've watched it. We come and we don't want to help each other. We don't want to help each other. We don't want to. And if we only want to help ourselves, and we don't have a problem with doing something at the expense. That's where we go back with that complicity again, of causing harm. If you don't want to be with me, don't cause no harm to me. Don't come in and take and make it so that I can't swim. Put a hole in my boat so that And a lot of our people, that's what we do. So, and it's sad that you have to go to another country and the same problems that you were running from in the United States, they just traveling. How many of you understand what I'm saying? I mean, the same exact issues that you have in the States, they follow you. I'm like, damn, that's sad. You're by yourself. You're because the people that are around you, they don't want, they'll even rob you. You can't even let the people come near your house because they're not coming from an indigenous mindset, which actually is the only mindset that the people from other countries who live in other countries can relate to with you, because they see you as people who coming to exploit them. And they like, well, you get exploited in the United States. Why, let us get our hands on you. Is any of this making sense to folks?
Okay.
And they find out real quick. That, maybe I should have listened to her. Like, no, it don't work like that, honey. You coming in there trying to be white man on top of these people. You're not going to do that. These people are not going to let you have nothing more than them. They're going to exploit you. They're going to find every way to exploit you. So you got to come to them in a way that's outside of that so that they see you in a different way. And that's not happening. That's not happening because many of our people are leaving. And guess what they're leaving with? No money. Every time you see them, they broke. Oh, I ain't got no money to share. I ain't got no money. Well, when you ain't got no money, you're not going to give but so much. Because them people look at you as people with what? Anybody?
Right.
Well, they don't see you with a lot of money, but they see that if you're going to get anything from them, you better have what? Some money. They want a little bit of that money. And you best to learn how to do everything before you hire them. I know I built a house. I took empty earth and I made a home, and I still have 5 more. I got a farm on it, and I spend money gladly. Took a minute to build a strong workforce. I'm a female. Misogyny is real. Racism is real. Everywhere you go, they see you. They see you for what you don't see yourself. They don't see you in your ideal. They see you as a chicken and something that they can pluck. So the question becomes, what do you have to do? So when we talk about complicity, what do y'all think when I say complicity? What is that to you?
Yeah. It's basically working against yourself, I guess, but working.
Well, not necessarily. I mean, you can apply it that way. Anybody else with the word complicity, when you heard that word, what did you think?
Living a simple life, or
Okay, anybody else?
at ease or something like that, or I can't.
Okay, no.
Put
I
my
just want
finger
to know what people thinking when they so complicity.
You're assisting. You're assisting. You're assisting in whatever is happening. Right. You're assisting in it.
Yeah, complicity means that you are supporting whatever negativity or whatever causing harm against yourself or others.
Yeah.
Okay, when you stand by and you see it and you don't, and that's what I talked about earlier when at least my son, he was aware enough to say, look, there was no place for a person like me on the census. He did not sign something that made him complicit. But when you see that your awareness shows you something and you support it when you know that that's not true. Complicit is when you know when someone tells a child that they can be whatever they want to be, and you know that that's not true. That's a form of complicity. Are we seeing it?
Yep.
Okay, when anything that you do that is not true, that misleads, that supports a narrative that is not about supporting life or moving life into the future, makes you complicit. Is this starting to hit home with people?
So voting is complicity.
That is correct.
Yep.
Okay, you become complicit. That means that whatever they do, you agreed to it.
Yeah, the lesser of two evils, like as if there can be no good.
A lot of people say, how the hell could a whole race of people be enslaved for 400 years without them being complicit to it? How can you be in this boat of poverty?
I mean, there is yeah.
Go ahead.
There's I'm sorry. There's a wonderful book out just recently came out. It's called Caste. the origins of our discontents, and it's by a sister, and she's basically saying that we're in a caste system, and calling yourself black is complicit in the caste system, and even calling yourself white is you're complicit. It's a label that a caste system puts on you that is very similar to India's caste system. They have different words for it, and they have more categories.
Right.
But
but let's be honest. I loved her
yeah.
for doing it. I can't think of her name right now, and because
Isabel Wilkerson.
right, Isabel Wilkerson with her pretty self.
Yeah.
Yeah, no. I'm fully aware of her book, and I have even sent her a notice about the book we have. Because if she really wants to get into caste, then she really needed to take it to another level. Okay, because
she.
And I don't think she did that. Okay.
Yeah.
She didn't go into it to say that what was behind the caste system was that that's colonialism and that's what conquest is.
She did mention yes.
Go ahead.
She did mention the British like King. I don't know if she said King James exactly, but I could tell that's what she was referring to. Like the royals, the British royals that started and actually it turns out that they started it in India too. To say it was Britain.
Well,
they tried to say.
But the caste system didn't start in Britain. The caste system started in Rome. Okay, no, if you do any research, everybody knows the caste system started in Rome, and the caste system is how colonialism implements itself. But it cannot be done without complicity. That means that the people themselves felt that they had something to gain.
Well, what's interesting is that in both cases, the people are like I tried to look up India's. What I was trying to do is after I got hold of her book, and I actually bought the audio book, and but I was she didn't. I don't know. I didn't get to the part where she says where India's caste is. So I wanted to see where India's caste, and I did find that it. They said Britain. But then it's like the people are saying, well, no. Britain imposed something on us that we didn't even. That's like they're saying their interpretation of our caste. What? No. In other words, their caste system was not what it was when Britain came along. Like theirs was. They didn't. They were trying to say that the Hinduism is, incorporated into this caste idea, and the people of India were saying that is not how Hinduism works. That's this. They're trying to bring Christianity here, so they want to say that Hinduism is the caste, the core of the caste system. And they didn't.
No, Hinduism had nothing to do with it.
Right, and that's what the Indian was saying. Like, yeah.
No. The caste system came through the introduction of patriarchy.
Okay, right.
They don't
and
touch
colonial.
that.
Yeah.
She doesn't touch that. She doesn't touch where the functions of this stuff came from. And the British came and they brought the institution or the influence. And it's not even, like they brought it, they didn't force it on nobody. The only people who were forced into the caste system was female.
Oh.
Okay, and the children of those females were then raised in that. Everything is done to the female. It wasn't done to the males. Even with the establishment of the United States on America. No. The caste system came through males putting it on females who was influenced to join. Okay? To join the British way, the new man order, the male order of life. They didn't have enough people in Britain to go around and try to fight all these people. No, you can't do that. It was the men who felt that they could do better over the females and using that which was of the females, and they joined. And it was the men who established the caste system, which is a homosexual system first. And the name of that system is patriarchy. But the book didn't go into that. I'm quite sure. But no, Britain did not come against the will of the people. They came against the will. And that's what Gandhi was famous for. Because Gandhi was the one who went to liberate the females by just having them stop being complicit in this system. So all they did was stop buying flour. I'm telling you, they stopped buying the females. Stop feeding flour. Flour. And as they started just not using certain things, they stopped doing certain things.
That was feeding the caste system, you mean?
It was
like the British?
It was that when they stopped doing that and stopped feeding it to their children, it stopped feeding the coffers of Britain.
Right.
In India.
Okay.
It just stopped.
Wow.
Okay, and in doing that, the caste system went on, but Gandhi was showing them their complicity,
Yeah.
just like we're talking today.
One thing I think she did say is that it was interesting that even it still lingers, like even like I would say in America, like how we come to use the term black, so like we don't even think twice. And she said, really, she was showing how it's still. It might, even when you take away the real workings, from underneath it, it still lingers on in the way people now. She said the roles have been assigned, and you and when you forget your role, the people and she said, she compared it to a cast, like the cast of a play. She said when you're in a play, she said the cast, even the word is telling you what it is. Like she said, so when you wear a cast, it keeps your arm in place or their leg in place. And when you're in a cast, like a play, your castmates will remind you that, oh no, this is your, you don't leave your role. This is who you are, and this is your line.
Right. But isn't that also complicity?
Yo, yeah.
Okay,
but it's like it's all and it's almost like an ignorant. Yeah.
And if you don't support the complicity, okay, you live in fear that something is not going to support you. But it depends on where you are in the cast.
Right.
You are a girl. You are a girl and you're not born with straight hair, so therefore I cast you aside. There's nothing in life for you. Did life tell me that there's nothing in life for that person, or is that the will of somebody who's applying a caste system which gives them power to exploit and cause harm to another? And we need to look at this. We could call it a caste system. We're in a caste system where United States, that's all United States has ever been, is a caste system. But that's all it's been. How can you, when each one of us was born, we was born to provide a function and service to life of the planet. And life has a function for us. Nobody was born to be in poverty. Poverty is something new. Nobody was born to be. Now you wasn't born, and you wasn't taught that. The biggest promoters of the caste system in the United States is the Black church.
Oh gosh.
Okay, and you go to church and you come out of church, but let's keep it real. Every time somebody goes to church, every time they're thinking that they're going to receive something, that they are entitled to something for being in that position. And what happens is that they find out it doesn't give you. It's a one-way street. How many sisters and brothers feel that sisters are supposed to give them something, and and every sister feels that brothers are supposed to give them something? Am I right or wrong? Okay, how many brothers have been taught, God, I don't know where they got it from, that feel that they actually don't have to give sisters nothing for a relationship, in a relationship, but that sisters are obligated to give them. They're obligated to give them sex and take care of them and stuff like that. So what is the other side of the relationship supposed to give? They supposed to give whatever they want. Okay? Now, why is that? Because they look at the female who is by life to nurture to keep the masculinity strong, but they put them in a caste system. Why? Who gets the benefit from that caste system?
The males.
The males get it, right? Now, females, we want to be in that. We want to get a male that will give us the protection. And what does that mean? That means he will get a home, a place to live, and safety. In exchange for that safety, we provide nurturing, food and sex and all of that. Okay. And from that, we have children. Now, somebody forgot to give that memo. If you're in a caste system, only reason why we stay in that caste system is because we think that if we play this role, we'll receive. Am I right or wrong? Okay, so we're running out here looking and looking and looking and looking and looking for Mr. Right. But somebody forgot to tell the males, because if the males knew all of that, they would be doing things differently. So when we talk about caste systems, which you brought up, brother, and thank you.
You're welcome.
We're talking about complicity. How complicit are we in the way we think? Now, if you're going out to it's all about you, and it's all about, and I just want to get what I want to get, how many of us then turn around and put somebody else, the children, into the caste system? How many of us look at anything we supposed to do with life and we don't do it? Poverty is a man-made thing. You're going to say, how you figure? You don't see the animals in poverty. Every animal pulls its own drum. You don't see them looking for jobs. You don't see none of it. You don't see no hunger. So evidently, it's the way we think that is complicit. You know, like I said, the other day, I was talking to people and it was nothing but complicity. I was like, damn. And everybody felt it was okay and they had a right to be that way. And I was like, yeah, you got a right to be like that way, but do you have a right to put your complicity on me? Are we following this?
Mm-hmm.
Do you have a right to stop me? And the minute I honor your right at the expense of my right, what happens to me at that point? I become what? What do I become?
Complicit.
That is correct.
Yeah.
And then at that point, I have committed a crime, and the consequences of that complicity then are now mine. And what's the beautiful thing about this is that life, the power of that weighs everything. The minute you become complicit, you then get the consequences. And if your complicity causes harm, then you get double the consequence. You might as well shot them. A lot of times we look at things and we cause harm, but we didn't directly just take a bullet and shoot them in their head. But if you did that, that's might as well say you did that. You caused them harm. And I think that's something we need to look at. We need to look at how we are racist. We've been working and trying to teach people, teaching those who show up, those who do what they're supposed to do, to get them free. And what people will tell me is that, all of a sudden they don't have friends anymore. They don't have nobody to talk to. I had someone call me the other day, are you going to vote? I said, for what? I'm not a citizen. We're not citizens. We are America. It don't make a difference which president who gets in office. They're not there to care about your well-being. They don't care the fact that you're homeless and you're hungry. Is that their responsibility or is that yours? And let's be honest. Many of us, we don't care. We don't care if the children don't eat because we're not willing. One of the reasons our children are dying is because one of the biggest epidemics that is going on now with the pandemic is because of the lack of protein in our diet. Lack of protein. What does that mean? That means all they getting fed is processed food. So are we eating to live, or are we just eating to satisfy a craving? And then somebody will say, well, I don't have enough money. But if you eat protein, you'll have the energy. And if you give the baby some oatmeal, and oatmeal's cheap. Give them some oatmeal and a little bit of liquid life. Your baby do fine. Your child will do fine. They'll get strong bones. Life will open the door to show you something else. It's actually not expensive to be healthy. It's expensive to be unhealthy. One is complicity and one is not. People will say, well, why can't we be, why do we live in poverty? We live in poverty because we don't want to fix up what we have. We live in poverty because we don't want to. Is it somebody else's responsibility to fix up a house everybody use? You got a whole bunch of men living up in damn house and the house looks fucked up. What is that telling you? Who's that blamed on? What message is that giving? Whose character? What is that saying? There's no reason why our community's got to be messed up, and you don't need a lot of money to fix them up. But you got to be willing to learn how to do something. It's not that hard. You got to be willing to not be complicit. It's easy to be complicit. But there's a consequence that comes from all these attitudes of non-action, non-production, non-function. And is it somebody else's responsibility to help us get out of it? Anybody? The floor is open to other people's opinions.
I know I was just thinking about, because I know a couple of people that have told me, I would love to, live with nature, or I would love to eat the food from nature, but I don't recognize things. Like I don't recognize like what trees produce what plants produce what. So they just eat what they want.
Yeah, but if you don't know how to eat with nature or something, isn't it your responsibility to go and be with people who do?
It is.
Okay, and be honored and respectful. Isn't it your
Yes.
responsibility to learn? You can't learn
Yes.
if you're not around people who know who live it.
Yes.
Okay, isn't it your responsibility? And even if you don't want to do that, isn't it your responsibility to say, well, shit, I see a tree, look, take a leaf, maybe take a picture of it and put it on, see where you can find it on the web.
Correct.
Okay, it's harder, but it's taking a step. I mean, nobody who's indigenous, one of the criteria for being indigenous is that you got to learn a lot of different things. Once you learn principle, once you learn how life works, life actually will tell you what's indigenous, what you can eat. And you're going to be shocked. You're like, I've been walking on this all this time and I could have eaten it.
Mm.
But if you don't have the foundation, if you don't know how life works, how can you do it? So a lot of some of the stuff that what people are experiencing is not because they may not want to, it's because they may have to change and get out of being complicit and say, okay, I want to do it a different way, or learn, or be open to see the different ways it may be done. As an indigenous living person, I live indigenously. And I love it. I mean, I'm like, oh my God, I can't believe this is the way our ancestors lived. They had it like this. Okay. They lived in paradise because they could transform everything and anything that came into nature because they understood the laws. They understood how it worked. They understood the fundamentals. They understood the principles. And unfortunately, that is something that has been denied us through the generations before us, complicity in trying to live artificially and get something for nothing. Is it starting to hit home? So in the process of doing that, we exploited. So then at that point, we wanted to keep everything to ourselves. We didn't teach, especially girls. We didn't teach them nothing because we wanted them to be dumb about life. Because it's your mother's job to give you the basics, to give you the lay of how things work. And she can't give you something she don't really know. Oh, I'm just keeping it real. We're blaming it all on white folks, but they're not the ones who did this. They influenced us to be complicit in something that would destroy us. Is this making sense to anybody?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. And now we have the people who will make it into the future, who want to thrive in the future. I'm here to let you know, you got to stop being complicit. You got to start telling people. I had someone the other day talking about 1619, that ain't a damn straight indigenous person. 1 minute they were talking about how all the earth, how my ancestors owned, and how no black man, no brother was in debt. All the men, when they grew up, built their own house, had their own soil. So I'm like, and that fits with what the research that in the Mississippi, Alabama alone, Amerindian people had over 57 million acres, and now we don't have hardly one. How can you lose 57 million acres unless you was complicit with something? How did they lose this? No army came in and took a gun to their heads. How did they lose all their soil? Because they wanted to become a part of United States grocery system. When we were grocery, I know when I was coming up, a truck used to come in from down south, and that truck would bring all the groceries, all the greens and the turnips and the string beans and the lima beans. All that stuff was on the truck. It came off the farms. And I'm talking about Queens, New York. And then they bring some slab bacon and stuff. And my grandmother would get up and what have you and drive her car. And it wasn't nothing but a few blocks. And the truck would be right there. And you get on the truck and he weigh you collard greens. And them collard greens was so big that you had to carry them with both hands. One bunch. And you got collard greens and you got mustards and tomatoes. And she got all kinds of stuff that I didn't all know what they were, but she would come back. And instead of giving her money to A&P, and she would say, "Oh, I can't stand going to A&P because they were high and the quality of the food was poor." Okay, and if they wanted some good collard greens, and they would cook those collard greens up, and them collard greens would be so good, and you want to eat the whole pot and drink the pot liquor. But they came from our farms. They didn't come from commercial farms. But how many of our ancestors signed a piece of paper so that they could think they were going to get rich in a system that was made for another people? Are we starting to see it?
Yes.
Okay. We was never supposed to do that. We became complicit. And each one of us went out there, yeah, I went and signed me up. I got me a loan. And when they found out that those people said, "Well, if you're gonna be in this system, you gotta let go of your own," and they lost all their soil. Could they blame that on the United States?
No.
No. That's why we're doing this show. We need to see this. We who have been moved further, we need to see our complicity. Oh, racism. Was it really racism? Where does it say that I'm not responsible to protect my own? Is it really racism because I have nepotism? Why did we stop? We built our own houses. We can still build our own houses if we was learning how to build indigenous homes. But were we being influenced by each other to be complicit? And we need to look at that because we got this 1692 or 22 or whatever they want to call it. And you got all these people who are complicit in getting us to change our story. And we all know people who will tell you, "Well, I don't care what the truth is. I'm an African." The other day on NPR, they were talking about blacks, and they included Kamala Harris, whatever her name is. And they were talking about our community, and they went to Nigerians. I was so shocked. I was like, I said, who's complicit in this? So black no longer represents Amerindian people. It represents people who have immigrated here. Now, if you become complicit and say, okay, but we're included in that too, then that makes you an immigrant. That means you're supposed to have a green card. Got deep, didn't it? That means that if they change the law for naturalization into their country, which United States now represents, because indigenous people are no longer a part of indigenousness because we don't stand. We are complicit in a false narrative. So the consequence of that is that we lose our right. Our children lose their right to exist on the planet Earth. Somebody was saying something. Come on in.
I was going to say, and I think that's why they're changing our story right in front of our eyes, because they know that black people is not going to do anything or stand up. Like you said, even with Kamala Harris, you putting this lady in here saying she's black. No black person is speaking out against that. So they're doing things. And like you said, eventually what they're doing is that they're taking away our rights because they feel that, what are y'all going to do? Y'all not going to do anything.
Well, actually, that's not true. That's what the show is about, being non-complicit. Now, Europeans can call Kamala Harris anything they want to call her. But when you say, no, she's not a Negro, right, and you stand in your position of Negro, and they're not gonna televise that. They're not gonna televise that. They're not supposed to. But what I have learned is that the minute when somebody says that they're complicit in that, and you tell them no, I find that life, the power, the energy, the emotion stops that consequence from that lie from affecting you. It stops it. All the people who are living in their life, they're going to go homeless. They're going to go without food. Homelessness and hunger is a major problem with our people. Why? Because the minute you stop being complicit in the lie, you get set free. And then life will show you that, no, it's over here and it's over there, and that you can do this and you can do that. And you don't, and life will open the door for you to receive. But when you are complicit, and I mean, I'm looking at these people who are complicit, and they all running like scared little chickens. I don't even want to call them chickens. And they doing I call it doing their own life hustle. They hustling life. Oh, I'm complicit. I don't care. I'm like, well, do you have a right to live if you're going to cause harm to the future? Do life owe you comfort now? Is anybody following me, or y'all lost?
I'm with you.
Are you owed comfort? What are you owed for being such a weak person? What are you owed for being so complicit? I had someone tell me that it didn't make a difference. And I'm like, how can you lie on your ancestors like that? Just lie. Lied on the ancestors. I'm like, your ancestors are not no foreigners. Why on earth would you? Oh, I listened to the historians. And then had the audacity to say, that history is a lie. And I said, well, I already know that. That's why I don't support and I'm not complicit in history. Our ancestors were here before they came. So where do you get off by now putting them here off a boat in 1622. Because Trump done started this Juneteenth stuff. And Biden is going to continue it.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, Biden ain't no different. So when do we say to the people who are buying into this, I am not going to support. My ancestors didn't do that. And I don't lie on my blood. That's all you got to say. And I mean, the miracle is phenomenal.
Ambassador, could you tell us the consequences in lying on our blood and the, present, future, right now? It doesn't matter. Just the consequences of lying on our blood, please.
The consequences, like I've said earlier, it goes against your rights of the future. I thought I broke that down.
Yes, you did, but isn't it, or wasn't it taught amongst our people? I know I've heard it, that lying on your elders is a curse,
Well,
or
of
brings.
course. Okay, you want me to go on that level? Yes, lying on your elders is a curse, and the curse is it brings you bad luck. That means that it blocks your ability to thrive. I had to tell some people at a function in South Carolina, and they were talking about basket weaving. And basket weaving is a female thing. It's something our ancestors did for thousands of years, and these South Carolinian Amerindian females knew how to do it, and they were trying to make it, and they were trying to sell it like it came off from Africa. And I said, it didn't come from Africa. That's what we do. We, the Indians of America, that's what we do. All indigenous people have basketry. And the woman, and the man, I told him, I said, that you're lying on your ancestors, and I'm not gonna lie on the ancestors, and they will curse you. You will go out of business. And the woman walked up in the room and she looked at me, I want you to go. I said, no, I don't have to go. And so they just stayed quiet. And you could see the hate in their eyes. Ooh, they were saying to me, I wish that bee would get the hell out of here. And I didn't have a problem standing up in there. Yeah, I left, but I didn't leave until after I said my say. They are out of business. I just had to call it out. Just had to call it out. Call it out. See, when you complicit, you get the consequences of it. So there were some other women in there, and I find all of these women are educated and they elitists. They walking all in there thinking that they and we okay, we're in the game. And the minute I called it out, and I walked out, I know for a fact, and that man he looked at me, and I saw fear. He's like, oh, excuse my language. He's like, oh shit. Somebody called it. He knew it. He felt it in his heart, but he didn't sit there and tell that woman that she was an African. He's an African. No, that sister came in there, and she all about the money. Really? You gonna get money on the backs of your ancestors, and that's why we poor. We're not a poor people. We poor. Everything we want to do with each other, it has to be done through a lie. Okay, and when we lie, life curses you. You don't understand, no. And then we curse life. We get bad because life is cursing us because we standing in a lie. And then we don't want to support nothing that don't support our lie. So we want to cripple because we're lying. Here we are, we on our soil, and we have sat here and lied about our truth, which is the only thing that protects us. And we don't care. And all those people who are complicit in that, it's not your job to make no one do right. It is your job to stand in the truth. I don't have to make you do anything. You can be complicit, but it's your complicity, not mine. No, I will tell you, no, my ancestors were not that. My ancestors were not this. No, we grew our food. We taught botany to the European. And here we are, a people that are in hunger. Why? Because we were complicit and did not teach our children. We fed them whatever we could. We treated them like their lives didn't exist. Their lives are not a part of the future. And then we want people to love and life to give us. It won't do it. Anytime you cross, and here I am not a rich person by far, nor do I want to be. I'm not interested. But every day, I stand outside of complicity. And I watch how things work out for me. Somebody's like, you got an angel. Yes, I do. But I'm not alone in that. Anybody who stands outside of complicity will thrive. And don't worry about how you thrive. Don't worry, oh my goodness, don't worry. If somebody told me, but I will not allow anyone around me. And, and a lot of our people are complicit. And I'm not going to tell you to beat somebody down who's complicit. If that's what they want to be, let them be it. But you don't support their complicity. No, that's your thing. I had to tell someone that the other day. And that's why we're doing this show, because I'm like, damn. Every time I turn around, there's somebody coming around and want me to be complicit with them. They come with their lie. And I'm real quick to let them know, I'm not that. That's not where I'm going to be. No, you're going to do that. You're going to do that by yourself. And others who are going to be complicit with you, because I don't want those consequences. I love happiness. I love the fact that life provides for me. I'm not going to curse myself and get caught up in your narrative thinking that you're going to make it through the white man's system. And the white men don't even want to be in their own system. How many of y'all will agree with that?
Yeah, because they didn't start it. It was
they did start.
As far as I'm concerned, it was the black nobility that did that.
But I'm not even getting into who started. I'm saying that Europeans right at this moment are getting calmer. And the system is dismantling. It's dismantling in front of our face. Now, either you're going to be a part complicit in it and go down with them, or you're going to start standing in the truth and get out of it. So it will move you out of it. You're going to learn how to be indigenous. And when I say how to be, that means how do we do this? Learn the foundations. What is it that allows this to be built on this foundation? And you have not been taught that. I got people coming up to me talking about, well, I'm indigenous. I'm running a tribe. What do you mean? Our ancestors weren't tribal. Anybody come up to me, they talk about a tribe, I just laugh. And then they're going to look at me and, oh, you ain't nobody. I wrote that in a book. No, there's too much documentation. That's tribal is a colonial thing. That's something that they did to divide you. How you going to have millions of people and put them in 3 fucking tribes?
What I'm noticing too, I was going to say, I agree with that. And what I'm noticing too, though, is like a lot of white people are doing the things that we should be doing. Like they're knitting, they're taking care of gardens, they're learning about plants, they're even trying to engage in black magic. Like, it's like a lot of them are trying to do things that we should be doing.
Oh, but that's been going on for the last 400 years, baby. All they did do was come over here to replace a system. And all this is supposed to be doing is we supposed to be trying to make sure we keep life alive. It's real, once you learn how to do it, once you understand the basics and you respect the basics, you're going to find that life will show you the rest. It's not something that's outside of us. It's something that's within us. You are what we are. It is within you. But if you're going to trash and disrespect those who are already walking the walk, then you got a hard way to go. And then you're going to be complicit in everything else. Then do you deserve to thrive? Do you really deserve to thrive if you serve no function? If you serve no, if your
you'll end up
purpose in
dying out.
life is to find ways to get by and find a way to get to Kroger or whatever the store is, buy low. And is buy low responsible, or Whole Foods responsible for giving you food or selling food to you that empowers your melanin? Or are they responsible for selling foods to empower that which they come from?
Mm.
I hear it all the time. Oh no. We have to find the foods that empower us. And there's nothing wrong with eating different kinds of foods as long as you understand what you need. And I'm not going to say that, all of us are, anybody today that doesn't know we're not supposed to be eating flour. If you got melanin, and the more melanin you got, the less flour you can eat. But you can eat, you can make flours out of grains instead of eating flour out of wheat. It dehydrates you. It actually stops your body from being able to process protein. Why?
Muscadines is another good thing we can eat.
Muscadines, yeah, you got to get them. I'm getting ready to make muscadine wine. Glad you mentioned it. But the bottom line is that we have to, and you can grow muscadines. If anybody who got muscadines, save the seeds. See if you can start next year your own muscadine tree. Your own muscadine, because they're vine. So a muscadine, and put it up against a tree. And it may take a few years, but if you can get it going, there are so many things that we should be doing. Many of you are having low energy. We tell the people to take the liquid life. That's to keep it going. I know people don't even want to do that. Everybody needs a job. Shoot. Everybody should be selling liquid life to everybody, so we don't have to die the way we're dying. But a lot of our people won't even do that. We could take the money, before it left the community, we recycled it 23 times. We understood. But now we're running out looking for the government handouts. Since when have the government ever handed you out anything that would keep you healthy? So what I have found is that people who are complicit are people who don't want to take responsibility, have the ability to respond so they can receive what they need to thrive. And our ancestors, when they lived indigenously, were responsible. they have the ability to respond. And over the generations, they've become complicit in getting on the boat of a free ride. And now that free ride is over. So, how many of y'all, when you think of Trump, what do you think? Is Trump totally lying to everybody?
He's doing both. He's are you mixing the lies with the truth, so people could be confused. That's how I feel about him.
Okay. But if you're responsible, are you confused?
No, ma'am.
Shouldn't be.
No, ma'am. You see exactly what's happening.
Yeah.
The question.
Ma'am, Trump is telling you what's happening.
Well, in some ways, no. What the brother said is right. There's some things Trump is saying that don't apply to us, and Trump is not going to pick up the COVID. The COVID is meant to kill off a lot of people who are not responsible.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, I'm just gonna keep it real. Anybody who's complicit, you complicit and sitting on there and lying and looking for all kinds of things to hide behind, your ass is open for this stuff. Because you're not going to take the correct action. You are COVID-19 waiting to happen. Because you're not going to do it. And it's nobody's responsibility to save your ass if you're not willing to take responsibility for it. Did we understand what I said? And I said it pretty blunt, so forgive me, but I noticed that a lot of our people don't understand stuff that's too correct. I got to put some emotion in there and break it down to that other level.
I want to say this is Elder Eugene.
Oh, Elder Eugene, you're here. Go ahead.
Yeah. What I agree with what you're saying as far as responsibility. I went and invested in some books that will help me to understand the type of food that we should be eating. And I happened to get this book, believe it or not, from a Native American store. And I felt, wait a minute, if the people who confess to be us, they are hiding, our truth. So I went and ordered the book, and in this book, it talks about all the plants. Not one, all the plants that grew in nature that will help keep us alive. They're using, far as there's, you'd be surprised. I was reading over about 32 different drinks that we could drink just come from nature and make a beverage out of it, just come from nature. I remember back in the day, my dad would take me hunting. We'd go in the woods. He said, Eugene, do you know what that is? I told him, no, I don't know what that is. He said, that's sassafras. And he would point out what sassafras looked like and what it smelled like. And I knew from that day on that what sassafras was. But he told me a while back, I remember before he passed, and he said, Eugene, you got to hide that. He said, because if the white man find out you got that in your house, he'll come and arrest you. I said, well, why, Dad? He said, because they don't want you learning about that plant. He said, that plant will keep your blood strong. And you'd be surprised, the very food that we look in nature, we kind of, because we don't have the knowledge to go out and find out what it is. And that's practically our fault, because I haven't had anybody other than you that would point out what that is in terms of plants and food. You would tell us that right there is wild lettuce. That right there is black walnuts. That's this and that. That's the only way we knew it, because it seemed like our older ancestors stopped telling us about what foods to eat. And I noticed then now in our neighborhoods, they're putting up nothing but fast foods to kill us off.
Yeah, but I'm going to be honest with you. I'm going to be honest with you. One of the reasons why we're dying is because we keep going to places that are not about us. The Native Americans ain't never going to give you anything to keep you alive. without killing me? Okay, I'm just going to keep it real. They're not our friends. But yet we keep looking towards them. If you want to eat food and stuff around you, you should look around you. Just like you know what elderberries are. Do your kids know what elderberries are?
Yes.
Okay, we don't teach. Okay, and then I, you know, how many people have come up to me and said that, and actually want to jump up in my face and say, "Oh well, I know." And they went to some European school, and I say, "Okay, now tell me what's out here in nature," and they can't tell me nothing. So I have to ask them, well, what the hell did they teach you? They're not going to give you anything that empowers you. But we will promote what they do over what we need to do. Now, and that, you know, and I just want to bring that out because I hear it a lot. You know, people always coming up to me. I'm like, well, but that shit don't work. I don't know nobody got nothing from that. They didn't give you what you need to see. You walking on food and don't even know it.
That's
You
true.
can eat
Like
grass.
even
I'm saying, but grass is not something that grows in a forest. That grows in a pasture. We can eat it if we don't have nothing else. But will that empower you really, or will that empower them? And we're not willing to learn. We're not willing to learn. You know, I used to think of Dr. Sabian. I'm you know, here he was selling stuff that people don't eat no more, sea trash, and people are paying $30 in the States for it. And I'm saying to myself, are we that stupid? But if you went up to those people and would not be, I will not be complicit in knowing that that's a ripoff. No, you're supposed to eat seaweed, and seaweed looks like this. That's not seaweed. That's sea trash. That means that's been dead and that's full of the animals and stuff. So what that'll do will make you go and have diarrhea.
mm,
And it's hard for your body to digest. That's why they told you to take so little of it. And I actually got cussed out. Got cussed out because I did not sit there and, you know, how dare you tell me not to take the stuff that got me constipated? That I paid $30 for in a pretty jar. But when, how dare you say, come take a course and learn something? But if I had some indigenous common sense, would have known through deduction, and I could have understood my own emotion that would have told me, no, you're not supposed to get that. You don't eat that. And if you are going to eat it, you got to break it down and transform it into something that your body can assimilate. So we have to change. But I'm telling you, the change is within us. And we just need the knowledge, the correct knowledge, so that it will start to actualize through us. And that means we have to start thinking about our complicity in racism. How oftentimes we hurt, we hate, we do not support, we put all kinds of prejudices against anything that comes from a female, How many times we look at, if a female got 4 kids, we look at her in disgrace? How many times are we complicit in all kinds of prejudices that hinder the survival of life into the future? How many times? We talk about racism. The biggest racism in America is the people of America against each other. How many times do we don't want to be responsible for stepping and doing something that will support the future? I know people who have gardens and they can't get anybody to come and learn how to garden. I know people who tell me that they got food and they try to give it to their community and the community won't take it. They don't
Yes,
want.
ma'am.
How many times have I heard that story? So what does that mean? That means that they live in a community that's complicit with death. So maybe we shouldn't worry about the elders. Maybe we shouldn't worry about people who are complicit. You only help the young people who have the ability, who still want life. And feed the babies. And teach the young people how to cook. And if you don't know how to cook and you with elders, learn. Go home and sit there and help your mama cook the food. Especially if she's in her 80s or 70s or something. They know how to do it. Because in those days, that's the only way you cook.
Mm-hmm.
Go to them. Life will send you somebody so that you don't have to be complicit. Because every time we help each other, every time life gives you a grace. And that's the way we were. Everything came with an exchange. Give her a few dollars if she taught you. So now maybe she can go do something. We need to start creating those tiny life cycles amongst each other that build bigger cycles. But we will not make it through the next year or so if we do not start paying attention to what we're being complicit in. And understand that all forms of complicity comes with a consequence. I told a brother the other day, he said, well, no, I want to come up there and I want you to teach me. And he brought a white woman. His ass went home. He didn't even get on the property good. I said, what? And I said, what is this? And I said it just like I was a country coon. Ain't got no problem with it. Didn't speak no straight English. Couldn't give two shits. Wanted them to know. Oh, this is my girlfriend. You're not getting no knowledge from me with this. That's not supporting life. Oh, well, I don't believe in that. Well, good. You take your little trifling ass and you go on and you go find you some white people to teach you some shit. And make sure when they standing on your neck, you keep telling them, but I love you people. Because maybe that's your consequence from ignoring reality. That there's a war going on, and the war has always been to kill out the Amerindian female so she cannot create the black male.
Mm-hmm.
And that your job is always to be with your power source, which is me. And if you got a female that she don't understand what's right, then you ain't supposed to be with her. Tell her about fear. Tell her to get over here and get registered so she can get some common sense. And if she don't want that, she let her stay there. She'll get burned. The biggest homeless group in the United States is sisters with children. sisters. Next is brothers. So when we sit around here and act like we don't need each other, we're being complicit. That we don't need to learn what each other's roles are with each other, how we work this energy, then we're being complicit. And it's not about, we should start picking our mates, not about what they look like, if they light-skinned, if they got straight hair, It should be about, is she willing to learn? Because without us coming together with each other, because everybody's going to come with their baggage, baby, and the baggage is going to be deep. Is she willing to come back into nature? Is she willing to follow principle? And let me tell you, life, all them people complicit or what, I don't believe in this. I don't believe in that. I believe that you let them be right there and they complicit in their beliefs. Watch what happens to their asses. Because they're going to be last, they first fired, and they're going to be part of the millions that don't get rehired. And I think it's 11.6 of us. So life is definitely, if you're not willing to learn how to build a house indigenously, next weekend we're telling people to come on up to West Virginia where Yawaja is, and we're offering a course to get your hands wet so you can learn indigenous building. We asking for a little donation, $100. We've paid hundreds of dollars just to get you started. No, I'm waiting for it to be free. It ain't never gonna be free. Anything that'll give you a chance to get out of the system ain't gonna be free. Nobody owes you that but your mama and your pappy and your family. And if they ain't do nothing for you, then you need to be willing to take whatever you can get to learn. So that's our solution. Anybody else want to add anything to that?
Yeah, I want to say. Go ahead.
I was gonna say I like that, and I think another solution, it could be like people writing children's books. Like that's another way to give back to life.
I agree with you. And I got one half started. So anybody want to work with it, showing up, and I need an artist. I need somebody who can draw, who's willing to draw pictures, so that the kids can draw in a coloring book. All of that stuff. All of that stuff. When you start thinking about it, everybody got something to do. And that's what will make you thrive. Anybody else? That is a wonderful idea. Anybody else?
Yes, I wanted to say I appreciate what I've learned with the coming up to Awaja and learning. I think if we come together as males and learn how to use our masculine energy to build the homes and to get back into hunting and learning how to skin out our game. I think that would be a wonderful skill if we can get the males to come out and participate if you can on the weekends and help us, with the projects that we have in hand. We learn so much together how to help strengthen each other's skill. And if you don't have skill, that's because we're not doing enough to gain the skills that we need in learning how to do what we need to do as males.
Well, I agree with that. And that's one of the things Yawaja, that's why we bought Yawaja, because there was no place for Amerindian people, males or females, to get indigenous skills. Okay, there was no place for you to go hunting and not be hunted. Okay, and that's what we do here. So on that note, you just give me, I'm sorry about that, brothers. If I get 10 brothers who want to come up in the next 2 weeks, because it's hunting season now. It starts this weekend, right? It started today, right?
Yeah, I think so. I think it started on the 15th.
Okay.
I know here in North Carolina it starts Monday. And I'm going to get out and get me one, but I won't be going Monday, but I will get me one like I got one last year. I'll get me maybe 3 or 4.
Yeah, but anybody who want to learn how, if you, I have some weekends open here at Uwaja. Just let me know, and I'm putting it out there now. We need 10 people, and it's a go. Email admin@F.I.A.H., say you want to participate, and we will make a date because they're out here. It's time to go hunting, whether you have your gun or not. If you're a licensed gun owner or not, you don't know how to use it, we will teach you. Okay, how to shoot to get a deal. But if you don't have no place to try it and to do it, you're messed up. If you do, then go there. But we need to learn. Somebody's whispering. You can talk out loud. Will that be okay with you, Elder Eugene?
Yes, it would be. A matter of fact, I'm gonna be honest with you. I know what the as far as hunting the deer, it's a lot to processing deer and taking it down because we don't want to just kill it because of deer. It's a reason why we hunt the way we hunt as indigenous people. We didn't just hunt to kill, but we hunt as you know to not only strengthen our masculine energy, but we hunt it because it helps to home in on our survival skills. And it's innate within us. It just has to come out. And like I believe, I had to learn this way. We just don't take deer down just to take them down. It's a certain type that you have to kill.
Right, I understand that, but when they come up, you can explain all that. Anybody want to learn how to hunt indigenously? Um, Brothers, like I said, just let me know. I will make it. Let's see, we can do the 30th or the 31st. It can be hunting up here. If you willing, and Elder Eugene will teach you how it's done. Is that okay with you, Elder? Well, let me.
Yeah.
Okay. Okay, because but I'm telling people now who's listening, who's gonna listen, we will make it for the next 2 weekends. And if we got 10 people, he will come up here, because he's here all the time anyway, and show you how it's done. Like he said, he's gonna get 2. And that's the only meat that we eat, is the ones that we catch. And I'm telling you, now I still like a little bit of pork, but even that I buy it in a different way. And so we go about it a different way. And I'm telling you, it takes you out of being complicit. And it's a wonderful feeling. It's the best feeling you ever had. Anybody else have anything they want to add to the solution? Thank you, Elder Brenda, Elder Eugene, and the sister that's talking about the books. What's your name?
Tasha.
Say that again. Couldn't hear you.
Tasha.
Tasha. Well, thank you, Tasha. I
You're
hope
welcome.
anybody else who want to support the solution, because now you're starting to see them, aren't you? You're starting to see how you can get out of complicity, and the more you get out of it, the more you do. Yes, writing children's books is helping saving if you what else. And you don't have to write one. You might find that you like it and you end up writing 20. We can set up our own curriculums, and it's great because now people got to train their kids at home. I couldn't ask for better. Why shouldn't we have an indigenous curriculum? They can learn how to read and write and arithmetic. They just don't have to learn the history. They can learn what gives them power. Nothing wrong with being bilingual. Any other solutions from anybody else? Well, I hope that it gave you something to think about.
Yeah.
That we don't have to be when you sit back and don't do nothing, don't support nothing. If you know you indigenous, you should be registering. We're starting the classes up. to get people. It's a lot to learn, but it's a lot of fun and it moves your life forward.
Mm.
I don't think there's it has anybody taken the courses out there and had bad life experiences as a result, or did it open up them into another avenue? Anybody?
Yes, I could talk about taking the classes. I tell you what, you won't be a fool. You will not leave those classes being a fool or under the influence of anything that is against life. I mean,
Anybody else?
stand, even if you have to stand on your own, no matter where you are or how many people are around you, you are prepared, and they cannot move you off your square. And people know you're not lying. I've
Anybody?
learned so many things. I've learned in indigenous how to sew, the way that our ancestor mothers used to sew, and how to garden, how to do some knitting. I've learned a lot of skills since I've taken the classes and since I've been a member of F.I.A.H.
Well, let me get clear. The skill buildings, as far as of knitting and stuff like that, that's done in the summer. Every summer we do skill building, and you get your other skills if you show up. There's a lot of different things, and we need a lot of skills. And one of the beautiful thing about it is that it gives you creativity. It opens up your door on what you can create. And our ancestors were creators. They were not consumers. They were creators, and we traded what we created with each other. We created each other's beauty.
Yes, you know how when you hear something that sits in your gut and you understand it and you're like, oh my goodness, now I understand it. You know, I don't think anyone wants to be a fool where they cannot explain um, uh, uh, about their heritage. You know, it was just learning about my heritage empowered me, not only with history, but with handling different situations, with interactions with people, and you know, it just fed me, and I'm forever grateful for F.I.A.H and Uwaja for everything that I have learned, all of the indigenous skills, all of my heritage. You know, I mean, you know, the difference between a Native American and an Indian, you know, and that was very important. The difference between I'm not a descendant of people from Africa, you know,
How about what the word Africa means?
the word Africa, and thank you so much. The word Africa, I mean, and it's very, very simple. It's a very, very simple concept. The word Africa means conquered. It doesn't matter who it's applied to, whatever peoples that is applied to. You know, you have the indigenous people from America, the indigenous people from Asia, the indigenous people from Akibulon. You have the indigenous people from Europe. You know, they're all going to be labeled as or written into the United States narrative of belonging to people from Africa. In fact, the word Africa didn't even apply to West Africa back at the time they were talking about Africans came here.
Sure enough, didn't because Nigeria and all
And
them
I learned that from
right,
you,
they was under the
Ambassador.
Ashanti, right? Now that you said that, they were sure enough under the Ashanti, and they wasn't beating those people. Ashanti they wasn't coming over there starting a war. So, no, but
No,
anyway,
ma'am.
no, they weren't, honey. The Ashanti was a powerful nation. But again, it's the influence of the complicity that is killing us. And when you start, empower yourself, save your own rights for yourself and your bloodline. Don't allow people to make you complicit in their.
So, ladies, I had a quick question. Did you guys find like that after y'all took the courses and learned a lot? Like, did life test you? So, like, did people come to you and try to test you, and like you had to stand in your truth? Like, were you tested?
Of course, that's how
Yes,
you learn.
ma'am.
That's how you learn. If you fail the test, you got to do it over again, and it's harder. You learn
Yes.
real quick that life, everything in life, you don't know nothing until you pass the life test. Then at that point, you know. But a lot of our people, and you come back. Oh, I don't worry about it. It's not my job to make sure you know. It's my job to make sure I've given it to you. And I've given you stuff. Then life is going to test you. And then after you get tested, you know what I say even better. Okay?
Yes.
No. Everything is a test. And don't think that I'm sitting here and I'm sharing with people and I didn't go through the test. Sweetheart, I go through a test. You don't make it up this ladder unless you pass a test. I call it the schoolhouse of life. Don't work. And you better honor the principle because you know better.
Ambassador, it was one time when I came across two brothers. Well, actually, I've being questioned many times, but this one particular time I came across two brothers, and I was serving them. I was, they were telling me that we the Hebrew, well, we're another group of peoples and whatnot, and oh boy, I was ready. I mean, I'm ready. I told them about my ancestry. I asked them about theirs. You know damn well your grandmama didn't tell you that there and everything. Whereas one of the brothers, I asked him, he was from the islands, and I asked him, how stupid do you think I am to let you tell me who I am over my own grandmother? And so he fell back, but the other brother, he opened up my car door, ushering me to get back in the car before I blew their hustle. So yes, I have been tested many times, even with family and friends. I have been tested.
Right, but if you notice, when you're not complicit, they respect you better.
Yes, ma'am. Yes, they do. That brother thanked me, and we talked a little bit, and he was talking about his grandmother from the South and all of that. So yes, but if I had, if I didn't have the knowledge from the classes, then, I would have believed anything he said, because he had it so wrapped up and so interwoven, with our history and other people's history. If you don't know, you'll fall prey. But because I did know, and they knew I knew, they weren't able to manipulate me or influence me.
Right. And they couldn't make you complicit.
Right. And I didn't leave there looking like a concubine.
Right. Well, sisters, we love being concubines. So, and we get offended if somebody calls us that, but that's the way they look at us. And if you want respect, then you have to stand in a different position and not always be gullible. But most sisters are just wanting to be, they just want to be with someone. And what I have found is that we have more males at F.I.A.H who are looking for a indigenous minded sister, and they want a relationship. But unfortunately, a lot of our sisters are in groups that only going to concubine them. And maybe that's something they need to go through. I don't like pain. After my son died, I was real clear. I had enough. So I'm not the one. But but more and more people trust us to teach them the truth and to give them what they need, to give them the food they need. We're not trying to be over up anybody. Couldn't care less. That's not my job. That's not F.I.A.H's job. It's our job is to get those who choose to be indigenous to be able to hold and walk and swim as an indigenous person. And you have to be taught that. We were not taught. The educational system has only given us enough knowledge so that we'll always be victims to be exploited by the system. That's it. By
I'd like to have
patriarchy, by all forms of patriarchy. Any man can come up to a man, even me, and tell you any old damn dodoism, and you always don't think. Why aren't you able
I
to
got
stand on your own 2 feet? Somebody was going to say something, and then we got to go.
okay. I wanted to ask, well, how does a female present herself as indigenous? What would be the suggestion? How does a female present herself as being indigenous female?
Well, I'm gonna be honest with you, Elder Eugene. It's nothing in particular. Once you have the knowledge, you start acting a different way. Your conversation becomes different. I'm not going to sit there and say, well, she's going to walk this way. Well, everybody's different. Everybody is what their creation is. But an indigenous minded sister looks at a male in a different light. Okay, we are loving people. We're just not up for weak people. How does she come around? The conversation tells you. Her conversation with you is different. And if she's not interested in being indigenous, then it's not going to be different. She got to go through what she got to go through. And then having a conversation with an indigenous minded female is a breath of air, fresh air. And I'm just telling you what my conversation has been with males. I very seldom get a conversation with a male, and he says, I just had that at a workshop we just did. Elder Brenda and I did, and the guy came up to me and he said, you're a breath of fresh air. My conversation, I talk as an indigenous female. I don't support the crazy narratives. And the people who are looking for the support to the crazy, we bring enlightenment everywhere we go. I don't know if Brenda and Elder Brenda's here or not. Am I right or wrong on that, Elder Brenda? So I don't know if she's here or not. But
She couldn't be here.
that's okay. But we just did a workshop in Tennessee. We were the only people of color. We 2 females. And we only come from one way. We had our stuff together. We talked to the people from only one way. But when everybody left, and it was funny because, you're saying to yourself, well, am I stepping on their toes or whatever? Couldn't give a shit. But before I left, they wanted to honor me and thank me for coming. I was shocked. They wished us well. And they were happy. And they gave us a little token that we were there. And at no point did we ever stop. We wished them the best of luck. We were there because we needed to learn something so that we can bring it back to our community to build communities that our people are going to build so that they will have it for each other. And if you're not willing to support that, we ain't got shit for you. We're not running out here trying to, and they loved it. They were shocked. Did we come as Amerindians? Yes, we did. Did we make it clear we weren't this? Yes, we did. And by the time we left, everybody was straight, and they met an Indian for the first time in their life, and everything made sense. And these were white folk. These were white folk. But it was nice to see that we were being responsible and we not sitting up here all downtrodden in poverty, looking for white people to rescue us.
Mm-hmm.
We were not the norm. And I know that we have made an impression on them that will last them the rest of their lives. And each and every one of us in 2020 is the only avenue we have to thrive if we want to survive, move beyond, if we want to live. And that's what we offer. So let's think before we complicit. Stop making bad luck for yourself. Start looking at what these narratives that these people are coming from. Is that something you complicit with? And if it's not you, and you don't want that consequence and that karma, then it's up to you to tell them what you are about. And that's not, don't tell them that they can't be what they want to be. They can be as complicit with themselves as they want to. You're not going to lie on my ancestors and then I'm going to be complicit to that. You're not going to tell me Matuma Kamakata and I'm living my life and I can do what I want to do with it. As long as you're doing what you want to do with it and it does not harm others. No, you're not going to tell that lie to my children or anybody's children around me. Now, you're going to lie, you're going to do it not around me, not where I'm complicit. And if we start doing this, you will have more effect on changing and giving life a chance than you would than if you ever marched in a protest. Because change starts at home. Change starts with the circle that's around us. So all I'm asking is think. Because it will tell what kind of life you can lead in the future and how you will thrive. Any other questions? We got to go. It's about time. We're 15 minutes over. I think we had a good discussion here. I hope that people look and pay attention to what they complicit to. If y'all like what we just discussed and think we should do this and get a little deeper, I will. But before we leave, I want us to stay life enthused and say this prayer that keeps us life enthused and gives us the power to move on. Now, people, the COVID-19, everything is getting a little rough. And many of you have to work. We are the tinctures that we're making up because of the fact that your lungs will be attacked this winter. We're telling people to get their liquid life, and we got a COVID-19 tea, which we're making, and we got tinctures. If you find that your body has been sluggish, okay, then you need what we call black walnut. If you find that you're going diabetic due to the fact that everything you're eating can only be transformed into sugar, okay, then you need that black walnut. We're selling it because you need a teaspoon, not a few drops. They're selling it $11 an ounce. We're giving it for 8 ounces for $50. Okay. And you can get it because people need it. You'll feel it right away. You're going to write back to us and say thank you. When you're getting positive things happening to you, give us a comment so we can put it on the site and let people know, we're getting good. We're doing well. We can't live here by ourselves. So we need to be making sure we're strong and giving people the knowledge so they have a way to get it. So on that note, we're going to do the health building life energy. Do this 1 to 3 times a day. If you don't have it, write it down. Get the prayer book. You can get it from the website, the Indigenous Book of Prayer, and it works. It will give you the strength you need so that you can stand and not be complicit. So here we go. My allegiance is to life, my soul and my blood of America. I value the blood of life given to me. I respect the blood of life shared with me. I love the life force that flows within me. I trust the power of life to provide, sustain, and thrive with me. Principles that govern life protect me from the ego, false illusions created by man, and perceptions that bring fear. My allegiance is to stand for life, earth, and America, and focus, fearless, and life enthused is how I remain. Ho ho. On that note, I hope that everyone, until next month, send me your comments, admin@F.I.A.H.org. We have classes starting. Register if you haven't. Get prepared. We're working, but this is our time. And nobody's getting out of this without learning something. So, on that note, we're going to bid you farewell in our ancestral language. Akichwe.
Akichwe.
Teach away. Thank you.
Teach you.
Hello, anybody there?